Welcome to SBRForum Videos. I'm Peter Loshak. We are previewing Week 1 here on Inside the Lines at SBRForum Videos. And we're going to start right off with the Thursday game, Baltimore at Denver. And we're going to preview it with one of my favorite all-time handicappers of all times ever, Joe Duffy from OffshoreInsiders.com. Industry veteran and survivor. Love him and love having him on the shows. Does great research and gives great advice. Joe Duffy, thanks for being with us.
Well, Peter, you are my all-time favorite sports betting preview host in the history of YouTube and the internet.
You like me more than SBR Natalie?
Well, she's definitely the best looking as far as when it comes to European sports. No, she's much better there. But as far as the knowledge of American sports, you are the man.
Let's say I'm number 2 overall, number 1 for American sports. All right, I appreciate it, Joe Duffy. Before we get into this,
that's the single toughest question you've ever asked me, ever, by the way.
Yeah, tougher than beating these NFL lines. We're going to talk about Baltimore at Denver, and I don't know. Maybe I'm just like, heady with enthusiasm because it's Week 1. I think I'm seeing an edge here. We'll get to that in a second. First, tell us about where you are right now in your handicapping life, and tell us about OffshoreInsiders.com.
OffshoreInsiders.com, one of the few websites in the world where we trace our roots going well back to last century. Visit us at OffshoreInsiders.com. On the left-hand rail, you will see we link to all of our social media sites. We've got the best premium plays, OffshoreInsiders.com.
Unbelievable. And you've been doing this, so we're kicking off your 35th NFL handicapping season right now, right, Joe?
Well, my 26th year as a professional handicapper where my picks were public, but if you want to add when I was betting on my own and handicapping both as a hobby and for spare income, yeah, it goes close to 40 years.
Here we go. Respect to the old-timers. That's why you're getting the first game of the NFL season. Baltimore at Denver. All right, Denver, of course, one of the favorites to win the Super Bowl this year. They're about a 7.5, 8, 9-point home favorite. The total's 48. I'm looking at this game. I'm thinking, we know Denver has some issues on defense. Manning, maybe he'll have some problems later on in the year, as the season goes on, as he get more banged up, but he should be in good form for this game. Flacco's awesome. These two teams went to, the 70s in the playoffs last year. I'm thinking the over 48, that's the way to go. You agree with that, Joe?
No, you are 100% correct. The over is definitely where I'm strongly leaning, and it's most likely going to be a premium play here. And part of the reason is not just because of what you said, but as I say all the time, the golden rule of handicapping totals is handicapping pace first and foremost. And if you're the Denver Broncos, obviously they're built on the passing attack. You get Peyton Manning, you're not paying Peyton Manning all that money to hand off the ball. Last year, he set the team record for most passing yards in a season. He's got the perfect balance where he's got a nice running game, really a five-headed monster back there, led by Noshan Moreno and the kid Monte Bell, who's going to have a breakout year as far as I believe, and also the kid Hillman. So they have a nice balanced running game to keep the defense honest, but they're obviously built on the passing game. And from Baltimore's standpoint, yes, they did lose some key receivers. Anquan Bolden's out of there. Dennis Pitta, a heck of a tight end, is gone. But the star of the show remains Joe Flacco, and most importantly, you're facing the pass rush. A lot of question marks with Von Miller suspended for 6 games, and on one of the videos we did with you, we talked about how much Denver gives up more per play when Von Miller was on the field and off of the field. Obviously, Elvis Dumervil switching uniforms. He's going to be on the other sideline, but another pass rusher who is going. So when you're facing the Denver Broncos, I say you got to pass all the time. You got to make them beat you with their pass. They have no pass rush. So Baltimore's their strategy should be to throw early and often, and Denver, they're built to throw early and often.
Joe Duffy, that was a veteran expert analysis right there. That's why this is what you've been doing. That's why you're a survivor. That's why you're a winner. Yeah, I'm agreeing with you. Over 48. There's some small part of me that thinks it's like maybe a little bit too obvious, and I'll be sitting there in the fourth quarter, and it'll be like 13-7. I'll be like, well, that was wrong. But I don't see any reason why we wouldn't take the over. 48 is a bit of a high total, but it's nothing like in the 50s where we're seeing with like the New Orleans game this week. Is there any reason why we wouldn't take the over?
No, and it's one of those cases when I watch the pregame shows, one of those cliches you hear all the time when you have a better-than-average quarterback. You have an ex-NFL player will give you this brilliant analysis. They'll say, if you don't put pressure on him, he will tear you to shreds. Well, in the case of Joe Flacco, he is an elite quarterback, and I have plenty of doubts whether Denver will be able to put any pressure on him. importantly is the fact that Denver, their strategy from a lot of places where I've read some opinions I respect, they're going to compensate by throwing the kitchen sink at Flacco. So that means feast or famine. Yes, there may be some 3-and-outs, which if you're going to have a defensive stop and you've got the over, that's what you want, 3-and-outs. But there are also going to be some big plays. I don't see how either side's going to have long, sustained drives.
Sounds great. Sounds awesome. Joe Duffy from OffshoreInsiders.com. His official pick on this, over 48. I'm agreeing. That's mine as well. Thanks, Joe. We'll talk to you again very soon.